of pre-colonial education that were prevalent, no, during that time? Ano yung mga tinitingnan natin sa pre-colonial? Yes, Cassandra.
Ang mga education po nun is non-formal po na sinasabi lang po ng mga elders po kunwari sa mga bata po sa kanila.
All right, so there was less formality. No, it was non-formal, frankly, and it was passing down from the elders what was to be done or what was expected of them. Okay, and then ano yung mga pinapasa sa kanila? So ano naman ngayon yung mga tinuturo sa kanila? So you said you were right na ito ay non-formal, ipinapasa sa kanila. Pero ano eksakto yung pinapasa sa kanila? Ano yung pinapasa sa kanila? Okay, so anong pinapasa sa kanila? Althea, anak.
Mostly po parang mga culture po, tas mga traditions.
Culture, okay. Traditions, okay. Can you give me examples? Ano kaya yung pwedeng ipasa sa kanila in terms of culture and traditions? Althea. So ano ang pwedeng ipasa sa kanila na culture and traditions? Dane.
Ah, Mostly po yung mga pinapasa po sa mga mas bata po noon is yung mga skills po na mga tinuturo ng mga mas nakakatanda po sa kanila. For example po, sa pag-gather po ng mga pagkain or sa mga pag-gather po ng mga animals na mga kinakain po nila ganun.
Okay. So there were, for example, skills that would make them letter S. Essentially, ang ituturo ay letter S. Anong klaseng skills? Skills to or skills so that you can what? The skills that will help you, letter S. Althea.
Survival skills po.
Very good. Very good. No? So, now, I'd like to ask in relation to gender. Was there anything that was gendered in the way that pre-colonial education was usually delivered, no? Or as it was reported, as it has been reported? Was there a gender dimension to it? If you answer yes, what is your proof or what is the reason why you say it's gendered? If you answer no, then we leave it at that. So was there a gendered dimension to it? Randomly, I'll call on Alejandro, Fabiala. Was there a gendered dimension, anak, in terms of our uh, use of um, the topics and the survival skills to be taught to people in the pre-colonial era?
During the pre-colonial era po, sir.
Yes.
Two, ano lang po, para kung tama lang po yung pagkaintindi ko, was
Okay.
gender-related po dun sa survival skills ng pag-aaral during the pre-colonial era po.
Okay. Gendered siya in what way? If you agree, bakit siya gendered? So parang kung may division or gendered nga siya, ano yung division?
Siguro po yung division po is yung way po nila na pinag-aaralan or yung pinag-aaralan po nila. Like for example, men, pinag-aaralan po nila is like um, more on physical stuff while the females are working on how to manage the community or how to manage their households po.
All right, correct. So, women were entrusted essentially to take care of the home. The men were entrusted to handle the hunting, uh, trying to get wood, for example, okay? Maybe even fishing, okay? But essentially, what was clear during pre-colonial education is that people needed to survive. And for the young people, no, they had to make sure that they were contributing, okay, in the way that the elders wanted them to contribute. Okay? So, in relation naman, okay, sa Spanish era, so during the Spanish era, there were also other things that they had to consider. Okay? During the Spanish era, when people would talk about, no, or when people would remember about the Spanish era, very often, ang sasabihin talaga nila ay, it was about Christianity. It was about faith and all that. Okay? Does it mean now that the prehistoric era did not have a focus on religion? Again, does it mean now that there is no focus on religion during that time? Isaiah.
Sir, no po. Meaning po, nung prehistoric era po, there is education regarding religion kasi they're still praying to gods po, pero more on nature po yung religion nila instead of Christianity.
So there was still an effort, no? They were still believing in nature, no, in deities. It was not Christianity, okay? Because Christianity came to the land in 1521, but it did not necessarily mean that they did not believe in the supernatural. As you said, no, they had their Bathala, they had nature deities, similar to how, for example, the Greeks and the Romans did it. The Spanish period continued in the sense the belief in the supernatural, but it concentrated, okay, the belief in the supernatural on Christianity. Okay, when you talk about the Spanish period, okay, one of the most iconic scenes, no, is essentially this, no, if you take a look at the way by which the natives were depicted, the pintados and all that, okay, they were observing as these Spaniards, no, composed of the voyagers, composed of the priests, composed of the conquistadors, so to speak, or composed of the soldiers, they were now implanting the cross into the island, okay, as a signal, okay, that they will now be converted to a new faith, okay, to a new belief system, and this was Christianity. Okay, the goal of the Spanish period, okay, was essentially to make sure that Christianity spread, religion spread, okay, and during this particular time, okay, during the Spanish period, Christian doctrine was very important. However, there were fewer teachers in contrast to the number of elders who would, take care of their own respective families in their own respective tribes and clans in the pre-colonial era. Mas konti ang mga guro precisely because hindi lahat, if you're teaching about Christianity and you would rely on the natives to teach it, chances are hindi nila matuturo ng tama. Kasi nga, sila mismo kino-convert pa lamang. Okay? So it went through a period na konti lang yung mga guro. And because teaching in itself carries a certain authority, teaching in itself carries a certain level of expertise, this was one reason why, no, priests, the frailes, no, especially from the religious orders, became very influential, even very powerful. And at some point, it came to cost them. They became rather controversial as well. Kasi, hindi lamang sila nagtuturo ng faith, pero dahil sila lamang ang pwedeng magturo, okay, essentially what they said, okay, were going to be believed in as influential and powerful. Okay? Now, I'd like you to I'd like you to recall anybody here who has been to Intramuros. Taas ang kamay. Anybody here who has been to Intramuros, particularly Manila Cathedral? Anybody? Okay, Isaiah, Cassandra, okay, Mary Con. Okay. Can you try to remind me, once you step out of the Manila Cathedral, what building do you see on the left? If you can remember. Okay? So here's the Manila Cathedral. The image of the Immaculate Conception is behind you. There's Plaza Roma in front of you. There's a statue. And then on the left, what's the building? Isel.
Sure, hindi ko po masyadong maalala, pero alam ko po yung structure.
Okay, can you describe the structure for me?
Parang ano po siya, medyo lumang building na po.
Medyo
Parang-
lumang build.
Opo. Tapos may mga flags po ata.
You're right. You're right. There are flags actually there. Thank you, Isel. Alejandro.
Sir, if I'm not mistaken, yung orange building po sa left ng Manila Cathedral is the Office of the Governor General po.
Which is, what is the name of the building? Because there's no more Governor General.
Ay, Palacio de Gobernadorcillo po.
Palacio del Gobernador, no? Palacio del Gobernador. If you speak to some Spaniards, they would say Palacio. The Palacio del Gobernador. The Palacio del Gobernador, Alejandro is right, used to be the place where the Governor General of the Spanish era would actually stay. Now, anybody here who's been to Manawag? Jessica, anak? Isel? Okay, so Jessica, Isel. Malapit ba o matatanaw ba mula sa Manawag Church yung City Hall or yung Town Hall nila? Yes or no? Kasi 'di ba ang Manawag, pag pababa ka, so you will go through that gallery, no, that arcade na puro mga imahen ng santo. Okay, so pababa ka to the road, the main road. Siyempre, pag pababa ka, kalsada yung tutumbukin mo, yung Mercury. Pero was the government building nearby? Nadalot ako napansin nyo yun. Jessica.
Nung pumunta po kami, for me, yes po.
Do you remember the name or ano yung parang karatula na nakalagay? Ano yung signage? Actually, when you go down, yes, Jessica, anak, go.
Oh, wait lang.
Go ahead. Okay? Actually, when you go down and makita mo Mercury, Jollibee, the usual things. When you turn left, a few meters, you will see there a building that bears the sign Manawag Town Hall. Okay? Next question. Sino nakapag-Cebu? As in Cebu City. Santo Niño de Cebu, tsaka yung Magellan's Cross. Again, meron na bang nakapag-Magellan's Cross dito? Magellan's, yes, Miguel. Okay. So, Miguel, were you also able to go to the Santo Niño Church?
As far as I remember po, no na po.
So, nandun ka lang sa Magellan's Cross? Hindi ka
Yes
na
po.
pumasok? Okay. The Magellan's Cross, if you were able to remember it, ano yung mga building na malapit sa kanya? If you can recall, ano yung mga building na malapit sa kanya?
Sir, I'm no longer sure po kasi I think I was around 7 po when I went to Cebu.
Grade 1. Around grade 1. Okay. Sige. Actually, mga anak, yung Santo Niño Church, okay? If you see, think of it in the left, go to the right, you'll see Magellan's Cross. And if you go further to the right, you'll actually be able to see the City Hall of Cebu. Okay? Classic towns, old towns, even here in Metro Manila, such as the one I said in Intramuros, even in Pasig, okay, a little of San Juan, okay, the old areas, okay, would always have the church, the parish church, and the town or the municipal or now the city hall very close by. Precisely because the Spanish era went through a period in which the priests, okay, would be involved in running the town. Bakit? Tandaan nyo, mas maraming mga misyonerong pare, no, o marami ang mga misyonerong pare na kinaya nilang makapunta sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas without necessarily having the same number of Spanish officials who are actually in the areas. Ano ibig sabihin? Dumating sa punto na sa mga areas, mas kilala dahil mas marami, mas recognizable yung mga pare kesa doon sa mga Kastilang opisyal. Okay? That's why the priests were also rather involved in terms of governance. Ngayon, what are the religious orders that you are familiar with? Sige nga. Ano ang religious order na nagmamay-ari at nagpapatakbo sa UST? Uli, ano ang religious order na nagmamay-ari at nagpapatakbo sa UST? Dominican order, what's the formal term? Ano yung ibig sabihin ng OP? Order of Preachers, very good. Sino naman ang nagpapatakbo o nagmamay-ari sa Ateneo de Manila University? No, Ateneo de Manila University is owned by the Society of Jesus, SJ. Yan yung mga Jesuits. Okay? Sino naman ang nagpapatakbo sa Colegio de San Agustin or Colegio San Agustin in Makati? The Order of St. Augustine, OSA, very good. Paano naman sa San Sebastian? Sa may Baste? Sino nagpapatakbo? Right. Magkaiba ang Order of St. Augustine sa Order of Augustinian Recollects. No? So yung isa, OSA, Order of St. Augustine. The other is OAR, Order of Augustinian Recollects. Next. Sino naman ang nagpapatakbo o nagmamay-ari sa Lourdes School of Mandaluyong tsaka Lourdes QC? Sino nagmamay-ari sa Lourdes School of Mandaluyong? Right, the OFM or the Order of Franciscans Minor. These were some, no? These were some of the religious orders who actually sent missionaries to the Philippines. Okay? Now, the spread of Christianity was the focus. That is why catechism was the focus. Catechism, as I said, was the focus, but then, because the mission was to spread Christianity, ano ang unang klaseng school na hindi elementary na tinayo? Okay? Anong unang klaseng school ang tinayo sa Pilipinas? Makaka-relate dito ang grupo nila Althea. Ano yung klase ng school na tinayo? Althea, take a wild guess. It's something related to the project that you're working on.
Ano po ulit yun, sir?
What is the first kind of school that was created or established in the Philippines? Because during the Spanish period, they needed to spread religion. Ano yung unang school?
Seminary po.
Very good. The San Jose Seminary, which is located now in Ateneo de Manila University in Quezon City, was established, okay, as the first seminary in the Philippines. Okay? Next, was the University of Santo Tomas. Okay? The University of Santo Tomas naman, okay, is then another seminary, this time in Manila. Okay? It remains to be in Manila. Of course, San Jose and the UST Seminary were both established within Intramuros at the time. Ngayon, bakit po ang claim natin ay tayo ang oldest university, okay? Pero nauna pala ang San Jose Seminary. Precisely because hindi seminary ang university. Right? If we say we're the oldest university, mali yun, because San Jose is there. But if we are the oldest university, the oldest existing university, the same or that claim is particularly true. Ngayon, bakit seminaryo ang unang naitayo sa Pilipinas? Just to be reminded, bakit seminaryo unang natayo? Ulit, bakit seminaryo ang unang natayo? Class, bakit seminaryo ang unang natayo? Sinabi ko na kanina, you just need to remind me. Aisel,
Para mas mabilis pong lumaganap ang Catholicism.
right. So you needed more people, okay? And you needed the natives to be able to actually teach about this, no? Or to learn about this. Next trivia, ano kaya yung next na profession or rather yung unang profession na nabuo nung Spanish period? Ano yung unang profession, no, during the Spanish period? Well, priest, yes, it's a vocation, but after priesthood, ano na yung next? Very good, Aisel. It's civil law, no? Civil law was the next profession after priesthood. And alin ang unang law school ng Pilipinas? What's the first law school of the Philippines? UST. Okay? UST is the first law school of the Philippines. Okay? So, 1611, philosophy, theology for priests. 1733, canon law for priests. 1734, civil law. Okay? Now, ano naman ang next? After ng mga abogado, ano na ang next? Ano na ang next? After ng pag-aabugas siya. Medicine na? Okay. Bibigyan ko ng +5 ang makakahanap ng foundation year ng unang medical school sa Pilipinas. Bibigyan ko ng +5 sa written work ang makakahanap ng foundation year ng pinakamatandang medical school sa Pilipinas. Very good, Aisel. It's 1871. Okay, and that's UST. So Aisel gets the +5. Let me just take note of that. Okay? So the UST Faculty of Medicine and Surgery is the first. Okay? And within 15 years, naging estudyante na natin si Dr. Rizal. Okay? Nakatapos ba si Rizal sa UST? No, hindi nakatapos si Rizal sa UST, no? Hindi nakatapos si Rizal sa UST. Pero marami siyang mga nakuhang subjects sa UST. Tinapos na lang niya ngayon ang pagbibidisina sa Europa. Okay. Ano ang pinakamababang grade na nakuha ni Rizal sa UST? Ano ang pinakamababang grade na nakuha ni Rizal sa UST? Hindi naman siya naka-5, don't worry. Hindi naman siya naka-5. Okay? Nakakuha siya ng aprobado o 3. Pasang-awa. Kumbaga sa inyo parang 75, no? Nakakuha siya ng ganon sa UST. Ano naman ang tawag sa grade na uno nung time ni Rizal? Ano yung uno nung time ni Rizal? Uno is, well, sa Lasal, it's 4. UST, it's uno. It's sobresaliente, no? Sobresaliente. Okay? Saan pinakamataas ang grades ni Rizal? Definitely, hindi siya sa UST mataas ang grades. I mean, meron, kung sa meron, pero nakatrash siya sa UST. Saan siya pinakamataas ang grades? Saan siya masayang-masaya sa kanyang grades? Saang school? Ateneo. No? Sa Ateneo. Because in Ateneo, at the time, it was a high school. Ateneo was a high school. It grants you the high school diploma, which then makes you eligible to enroll in the other programs of UST. And the programs of UST lang naman at the time were medicine and civil law. Yun lang naman ang choices mo. Tsaka pharmacy. Kasi same time, tinayo ang civil law, tinayo rin ang pharmacy. At well, same time na tinayo ang medicine, kasama nun ng pharmacy. Okay. So, when you talk about education during the Spanish regime, okay, teaching the natives proved to be difficult to the Spaniards precisely because of the problem of language. Okay? Nagkaroon ngayon ng mga parochial schools. Parochial meaning sa parokya, ito ay pagmamay-ari ng parish. Okay? So the parish is the Catholic center of a particular geographic area. Each parish has a territory, and within the parish, you have now a parochial school which is in charge of catechism. Kaya hanggang ngayon, okay, may mga katikista sa parokya. Taas ang kamay kung naranasan yung maging catechist sa parish. Anybody here from among the Catholics? Anybody here who has been involved in catechism? Anybody here who volunteers in the parish, in the local parish? So say for example, lector ka, commentator ka. All right. Okay? Among the ladies na kapag serve na kayo sa misa, anybody here among the ladies na nakapag-serve na sa misa? Okay, so Jessica and Cassandra. Okay. Nagsusuot din kayo ng sutana? Nakaranas na kayo magsuot ng sutana? Okay. All right. So, the system of schooling was not hierarchical. It was not structured. Basta matuto ka ng Our Father, matuto ka ng ganito, matuto ka ng ganyan, you're good. No? Now, the problem was that during the Spanish period, there was a lack of trained teachers. And precisely because during that time, we did not really have much of the teachers, or we did not really have much of the training institutions for teachers that we have now. Like, for example, even Jose Rizal. Okay? In the case of Jose Rizal before, he had a private tutor, okay? But the private tutor would conduct the classes, small classes, in his own house. Kasi isa siyang maestro. Hindi ito yung tulad namin ngayon, ng henerasyon namin ngayon, na ang dami-dami namin. Okay? Precisely because mas marami ng mga colleges of education ngayon. Now, Dominicans, were assigned to the north along with the SVD or the Divine Word Fathers. Jesuits were assigned to the south, meaning the south, Mindanao, to evangelize. Kaya nandun ang Ateneo de Zamboanga, Ateneo de Davao. Okay? Each group had its own, each group had its own area within Intramuros before. Santo Domingo was of course in Intramuros before. San Ignacio was also in Intramuros. San Ignacio is the Jesuits. Now, Ignacio de Loyola or Ignatius of Loyola is the founder of the Jesuits. We continue to have San Agustin Church. Sinong Governor General ang nakalibing sa San Agustin Church? Sino yung Governor General na sikat ang nakalibing sa San Agustin Church? Any idea? Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, correct. Miguel Lopez de Legazpi is buried in San Agustin Church. I'm not sure if Antonio Luna is buried in San Agustin. I know that Juan Luna is buried in San Agustin. No? I saw the crypt, no, of Juan Luna. So from Hong Kong, dinala yung kanyang bangkay, but I think it's Juan Luna who's there. Okay? No worries, Alfonso. Okay? So, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi is there. Ngayon, topographical settings, conditions essentially were very, very much difficult. Okay. Sino yung statwa na nandun sa tapat ng main building? Sinong statwa yun? Kanino yun? Sino yung nakaturo doon sa may Moraita? Benavides, alright. Miguel de Benavides is a Dominican. Okay? And he was the 3rd Archbishop of Manila. Miguel de Benavides, however, was not just the 3rd Archbishop of Manila. He was also the 1st Archbishop or the 1st Bishop of Lalo. Lalo is in Cagayan. Okay? Lalo in Cagayan, okay, is actually now housed, no, the diocese or the Archdiocese of Nueva Segovia, the new Segovia, is actually now found in Vigan. We have a famous Dominican historian, although namatay na siya, Father Fidel Villaruel. He wrote about the founder, Miguel de Benavides. And one of my personal favorites rather, in terms of the kwento, is how Benavides actually made a land travel from Manila all the way to Lalo in Cagayan. So if you're familiar with Lalo, lalampas pa siya ng Tugigaraw. Okay? And it took months on foot. Kung may masasakyang carriage, fine. Pero on foot, okay, majority, to be able to reach Cagayan and to evangelize in Cagayan. Okay? That's how it was back then. Pwede kang mamatay along the way. Pwede kang dumaan, for example, sa mga kakahuyan, sa mga bundok, at pag namali ka ng tapak dyan, patay ka na. Pag namali ka, dali ka ng ahas dyan, ng oso, at kung ano-ano pa, patay ka na. Okay? In the case of Benavides, he was able to survive the trek all the way up there. Okay? And he was able to establish what is now known as Nueva Segovia or the New Segovia. Okay? Nueva Cáceres is the New Cáceres. Nueva Segovia, New Segovia. Nueva Vizcaya, Nueva Ecija, the New Vizcaya. Bakit ganun tayo magpangalan? Precisely because in Spain, there were counterpart areas like those. No, there's Segovia in Spain, okay, for example. And then, ang ginagawa nila, the ones who colonized the area or the ones who now make settlements in the area would simply call it, okay, this is going to be the new Segovia. May original Segovia sa Spain, may magkakantay ng bago rito. Tanong, anong bansa sa West ang may similar experience na ganyan? Yung nilalagyan ng salitang nuevo, nueva, or new, yung mga lugar. Anong bansa sa West ang may ganyang karanasan? Lalagyan ng nuevo, nueva, new, yung kanilang mga lugar. Anong bansa? USA. Give me the perfect example of USA. New Jersey, and just below New Jersey, you have the center of the cinematic universe. Nasaan yon? New York. So if you go to England, there's actually York. The Duke of York, for example, is the second son of the monarch. No, so you have the Prince of Wales, and then you have the Duke of York. Okay, who is the second son. Okay. There's York in the area, but then New York is essentially how, for example, the colonizers simply named the area. Okay? So, yan ang Spanish period during that time. Okay? There were barriers, of course, that they faced. As we said about topography, Okay? But we also, or they also faced issues, for example, in terms of lack of funds, instructional materials, and infrastructure. Pupunta yung mga misyonero pero wala silang dalang gamit. Kaya, sa UST, nagtayo ng kauna-unahang printing press, which is now actually called the UST Publishing House. Okay? And, doon naman, nagkaroon tayo na tinatawag na Doctrina Christiana, the very first book printed in the Philippines. Okay. There were changes brought by royal decrees. No? Subjects became more formal, like language, grammar, literature, Spanish, Greek, French, and English. History, no, was taught. Mathematics, arithmetic, algebra, trigonometry, and geometry, as well as rhetoric, logic, and ethics, along with geography and psychology, became part of the things that people had to study. But this was relatively newer. Some of them were only in the 18th century, that's the 1700s, or the 19th century, the 1800s. Okay? Colegio de San Jose, for example, no, is the seminary of the Jesuits. Santa Isabel College, now they have their own place along Taft Avenue, malapit sa PNU. And of course, this is UST. So this is the Arch of the Centuries, no, na nandiyan sa gitna. So the shape is there. Aling side ng Arch of the Centuries yung original? Yung nakaharap sa Espanya o nakaharap sa main building? Aling side yung original? Alin ang side na original? Aling side ng Arch of the Centuries yung original na galing Intramuros? Right. Ang nakaharap sa main building yun yung totoo. Yung mas luma. Yun yung original. So pagdating na dito nung sinira yon and then nilipat dito piece by piece, nag-recreate sila, no, noong itsura ng Arch of the Centuries, tas pinatangkad na nila. Okay? And then of course, si St. Thomas nilagay na ron sa taas. Okay. So Rizal is there, no? Paterno is there, if I'm not mistaken. Luna is there. And you see that up until almost the end of the Spanish era, okay, university education was mainly for males. Okay? Not to say that women were not educated. No? We had Santa Catalina College, we had Santa Isabel College, and these were for women, but the focus was more on home economics. Okay? The forerunner of what is now TESDA, in terms of the skills being taught, we can partly trace it to the Spanish colegios. Kaya nung 1990s, nung time na medyo bata pa kami, may mga term na kolehiyala. Kapag ka-kolehiyo, okay, ang original ibig sabihin ng kolehiyo, it's for girls. Okay? Ang universidad back then was for males. Okay? Now, during the Philippine Revolution, okay, there was now a desire to move away from the influence of the priests. Okay? And they wanted to secularize education. Dapat meron na ring mga pare na, may mga teachers na rin dapat na hindi pare. Okay? Spanish was taught more and there was greater attention to the natural sciences. That's why General Antonio Luna is a chemist. Okay? General Antonio Luna is a chemist of the University of Santo Tomas. Okay? Bago siya nasama sa war cabinet ni Emilio Aguinaldo, isa muna siyang kimiko. O, kimiko is the Tagalog for, well, hiniram, no, from Spain, pero Tagalog of chemist, no? So, Rizal, for example, became a medical doctor. Okay? There's an attempt to design the relevant curriculum and there was an attempt, no, na hindi dapat sa UST lang nakakoncentrate ang universities because for a long time, UST was the only university we had. Okay? Now, Rizal's criticism, no, during the Spanish period was that it was too focused on religion. Okay? And it's not entirely surprising considering the fact that during that time, even in the early days, talagang catechism was the focus. Okay? he was decrying the discouragement that Filipino students should not speak in Spanish. Nanggaling kay Rizal and the other propagandistas yung ayaw kasi ng mga Kastila na matuto tayo. Okay? No, so that was part of their observation na ayaw nilang matutunan natin yung wika nila, especially when, for example, they would criticize the natives. Okay? This does not necessarily mean na walang mga Pilipinong natuto ng Kastila. Okay? Remember, there were Filipinos who were born to Spanish parents. No, the mixture of Filipino and Spanish blood was also there. Okay? Jose Rizal, okay, for example, and the heroes, the ones who fought for our independence, represented one side of the Filipinos. Okay? There was another side of the Filipinos who were involved naman and who were, I guess, more attuned, or at least they were able to better integrate themselves, for example, with the Spaniards. Example, the Zubel de Ayala family. The Zubel de Ayala family, ano yung bangko na tinayo ng Zubel de Ayala family? Ano yung bangko na tinayo nila? BPI, right. The Bank of the Philippine Islands. No? So that is, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest bank, the longest serving bank in the Philippines. And that was during the Spanish era. Okay? So they wanted to expand more of the subjects in the curriculum to include also the arts. Remember, Rizal was also educated in Europe. Okay? Now, the outstanding cause of the distressed situation of Filipinos today is the anomalous education received by the youth in schools. They learn to read correctly and write gracefully, but they do not learn anything useful because they are not taught any. They are taught how to pray and never to go to work. And this was the criticism of a propagandist, Graciano Lopez Haina. Now, the American period, okay, saw that, again, pale-skinned Caucasians would actually now go to the natives and teach. So mas may systematic instruction. Okay? English was taught to the natives. There was more institutionalization of education. And perhaps the best feature of American period was the democratization, or the initial attempt at democratization of education to include the women. Okay? During the American period, okay, education was seen as a vehicle for its benevolent assimilation program. Isa sa mga ayaw ng Pilipino sa mga Kastila, hindi nyo kami tinuturuan. Pinapanatili nyo kaming mangmang. So, simple lang ang ginawa ng Amerikano. Para hindi kayo magalit sa amin, gagawin namin yung matagal nang hindi ginawa sa inyo ng mga Kastila. Okay? Kung ano yung kinakagalit ninyo sa mga dati nyong conquerors, hindi yan mangyayari sa amin kasi mas mabait kaming conqueror. And that's the benevolent assimilation program. Okay? American soldiers were the first teachers, the Thomasites, And after the war, they restored, damaged schoolhouses and built new ones. There were concepts of democracy kasi syempre, di ba, galing ka sa isang colonial period na parang very oppressive ang naging dating. So the Americans, even though they were colonizers, they wanted to teach about democracy, progress, equality, fair play, essentially yung mga bagay na related sa prinsipyo nila, and at the same time na deprived tayo during the Spanish era. That's as of course the Filipino reformers would say. Okay? Americans discarded the religious bias. It did not, however, state that the religions were not necessarily important. Yun nga lang, hindi na sila makakialam sa religion. Kaya nagkaroon ng separation of the church and state doctrine na nagsimula sa Educational Act of 1901 na siya namang nagtayo sa Philippine Normal University. 7 years later, natayo naman ang University of the Philippines. Because back then, the only University of the Philippines was UST. Gustong kunin ng mga Amerikano ang pamamahala ng UST, pero hindi pumayag. Hindi pumayag ang mga Dominicans, hindi rin pumayag ang Vatican. Kaya in 1902, Dahil nga gustong kunin, okay? Gustong kunin, for example, ang UST at gawin itong isang public school. Okay? In 1902, in-emphasize ng Vatican ang kanilang recognition of the University of Santo Tomas. Kaya tayo naging isang pontifical university. No? So that's one reason. Kaya tayo naging pontifical university. There was pressure. No? There was pressure for the Dominicans to actually turn over, okay, to the American government the ownership of UST. Okay? Now, here were the curricula. No? Hygiene and sanitation, GMRC, civics, no? And the intermediate curriculum, that's grades 4 to 6 by current standards. The government, no, established normal school for future teachers. That's the Philippine Normal School, which is now PNU. Paano magturo? Kasi kulang ang Thomasites, no? Hindi pwedeng lagi kang padala ng padala. They had to now actually learn how to teach. Okay? At ang kanilang mga teachers back then were the Americans. Kaya kapag, there would be times na makakarinig ka pa rin ng mga lolo at lola natin na sila ay, okay, mga lolo at lola natin, sasabihin nila, alam mo, ang galing ng English talaga nung time namin. Kasi totoo naman. Ang kanilang exposure kasi Americans. And Americans back then would not tolerate that you would code switch to Filipino. Hindi ka talaga nila palalampasin hanggat nagsasalita ka ng Tagalog. Because back then, even they did not understand what the Tagalog language was. Unlike nung mga Pilipino na eventually ang nagturo, okay, the accent is of course more localized, no? And it's not bad to have a local accent. In fact, it is problematic, especially if there will be Filipinos who would aim, no, to have an Americanized accent, even though they are not actually within the area of the United States, no? Kasi ikaw naman ang hindi ka makaka-relate ngayon dito sa mga tao na sila naman talaga kausap mo. White collar jobs, no? Essentially those that are in the office, essentially those that are covered by actual professions, became the bias. Ang naging pangit sa American period, bumaba ang tingin sa kung ano yung tinatawag na natin ngayong mga blue-collar or labor-intensive jobs na ino-offer ng TESDA. Okay? Now, public schools, ayan. Centro Escolar de Señoritas is CEU. Philippine Women's Universities, PWU. Ganyan pa rin ang itsura ng mga building nila. CEU, for example, is along Menjola. Philippine Women's University is in Taft. Okay? During the American period, the goal was to spread democracy, even though we were still a colony. Okay? Academic English, language, and literature were there, and there was now a more structured form of government. There became a governance rather of education. There became an educational system. Okay? 4 years primary and 3 years intermediate or 7-year elementary school. Kaya may grade 7. Eventually, nawala yan. Ang nag-retain na lang Ateneo and Lasal. Pero yan actually, yan grade 7 na yan, panahon ng mga Amerikano yan. Okay? 4-year high school, 2 years college, and 4-year program. So mga titingnan ninyo, 7-year elementary, 11 years pag may high school, 13 years pag may junior college, ang tawag dyan anak ay K-12. Wala nga lang kinder. K-12 essentially ang tawag dyan. So if you notice, kahit na iba-iba yung timing, magkalayo man parang 7 nung elementary, 4 na high school, junior college ang tawag sa senior high, essentially the number of years is the same. Okay, you spend a total of 13 years in basic education and then another of 4 years, so that's 14 years in college. Okay? Now, all right. Ngayon po, bago natin ituloy ang ating discussions, okay? Because we'll have more time to discuss these, I'd like to show you PETA Worksheet 2. Okay? PETA Worksheet 2 talks about the school activities and extension services. I uploaded this on Canvas. So like PETA Worksheet 1, ilalagay nyo rito yung inyong names, yung section, and the name of your school. Ano yung curricular activity ninyo? A curricular activity, ito yung nangyayari sa classroom. Ito yung pangturo. Ba't nyo siya gagawin? Okay? Like tulad ng quizzes, for example, assignments and all that. Extracurricular activities, ito naman yung mga field trip, competitions, intramurals, performances, pero outside the MAPE subject. Okay? Co-curricular, pwedeng ito na yung mga seminars, conferences, educational tours, exhibits, museum visits. Pwedeng may seminar or workshop na i-conduct ang isang artist, like for example, for the St. Catherine High School for Fine Arts. Okay? Pwedeng co-curricular yan. And then, ano naman yung mga extension services? May family day ba kayo? Meron ba kayong community service project na binabalak? Say for example, doon sa seminary, ano yung gagawin ninyo? Makikisali ba kayo sa fiesta ng town? Okay? And plotting the school calendar. This is a more simplified version. But what I will want you to do is at the end of this, dito sa huling uli, page 6, ilalagay nyo yung 10 pages ng school calendar na meron kayo. Okay? So, for the last 30 minutes of our session, I will break you off into 6 breakout rooms. And I'll now allow you to I'll allow you to choose your own room sa group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 depende sa setup natin kahapon. And I want you to work on PETA Worksheet 2. I am placing in the chat box now etong ating worksheet. Okay? Dali lang. Ang una niyong gagawin sa PETA Worksheet 2, isama niyo siya ron sa file na nandun yung calendar, yung 10 months. No? So pagsamahin niyo sa isang Google document, because you're working on a Google document yesterday. Okay? Isama niyo siya ron. And then simulan niyo siyang buuin. The original deadline for this is tomorrow, but definitely it's not gonna be doable. Okay? So I'm extending it to next week. Okay? It'll be extended to February 25 at 7 p.m. Okay? Again, it will be extended to February 25 at 7 p.m. Now, questions regarding PETA Worksheet 2. Okay lang ha. Due date. All right. Yes, Althea.
Sir, pa-clarify lang po yung dun sa, kasi kahapon po, sasabi ko po about sa calendar. Pwede po pa-clarify kung ano po ulit yung gagawin dun na parang ika-count po yung days.
Okay, yeah. Okay, when you do the calendar, we need to have a minimum of 200 class days. March 31 is graduation day. So March 31 is the 200th day. Okay? So ngayon, from 200, March 31, balikan nyo ngayon up until the time that you reach June. Exclude the weekends, exclude the holidays. Ano ngayon ang magiging starting day ng inyong school? Please confirm if you got it right, if you understood it.
Okay na po. Thank you, sir.
If you, Cass.
Sir, tapos na po kami kasi sa calendar and yung nabilang po namin is 197. Hindi na po nabilang yung mga holidays and weekends. Tapos school days na rin po yung grad day and yung Christmas party po. And hindi po siya nagiging 200 po. And yung
Hindi kaya
tanong
Hindi
po
kaya.
namin, sir, kasi po may mga holidays po na sabi sa Google Calendar is tentative po.
Ang gawin niyo, magdagdag na lang kayo ng Saturdays. Not a wag niyo galawin yung holiday kasi usually naman ginagawa pa rin nilang holiday. Ang gawin niyo, anak, magdagdag kayo ng Saturday. Anyway, 3 Saturdays lang naman yan if you already reach 197. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you po.
All right. So I'll now open the breakout rooms. You have the remainder of the 30 minutes. At 10:28, I'll call you back. Okay, so just to give you some pointers. Thank you. Join your room. So room 1 is group 1. And then room 2 is group 2. So on and so forth.